Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott wave update for FLR. If you watched last video, things are reacting the way that we expected. If you watched my previous video, you know I was screaming for the lows in over here. I've been tracking this one for a long time. What we ended up getting, in my perspective, for my primary count is a flat to start since the inception of FLR. All this move is a 3-3-5. If you have a running flat, which is a variation of this, we make a higher B wave above the all-time high, and we make a higher C wave above the A wave. That's what it looks like ideally. This is it in reality. If you remember, you were tracking along with me, I had this as a WXYXZ or as a ending diagonal without overlap between 4 and 1. Both are allowed. So as you can see, this is my count. It was a very difficult count along the way. We did trade this to the upside if you've been with me for a while. And warning against this potential all the way up in these areas. So that being the fact, if this is what ends up playing out as my primary count, we start the entire trend here. So we can ignore everything over here in this count. All we're talking about is Fibonacci extensions from this level. I will provide the alternatives. And that is, if this is the end of our correction and this is the start of our trend, we're either going to stay corrective for a very long time, which this would end up making a complex combination as a WXY, and we'd trend sideways for a very long time. No real trend happening. Alternatively, if this turns into a leading diagonal, this could take many more years here, and we'd just be getting a series of 3-wave moves into a 5-wave pattern eventually, which makes a larger wave 1 or A, 2 or B. And eventually we'd get upside, but that would eat up a lot of time. So until then, we're sticking to the bullish scenario, which is the start of our trend here, and we're looking for a 5-wave move to the upside, like so. So we'll go to the smaller time frames. Just remember, all our counts start from this low. Okay, so I'm down on the 1 hour count, and this has been relabeled a couple times. This is the best fit so far. I have this as a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a diagonal series of 3-wave patterns. And the reason why I labeled it this way is we're hitting pretty much ideal Fibonacci extensions. So when you're coming up with probabilities, you go with guidelines and rules, and whichever is fitting guidelines the best is your best count. This can be counted as an impulse as well, but with running flats. This is the ideal structure currently. Now off that 5-wave move, which created a larger wave 1, we look for a wave 2. This was WXY. And after that, we look for the start of the trend again. You can see we came very shy retracements, the 382. In alt season, we look for very shy retracements. Our regular wave 2s would be the 50, the 618, and as low as the 786. But in alt season, you have to adjust your perspective, and you don't get a lot of pullbacks. A lot of people get left behind because they're waiting for these ideal guidelines, especially Elliott wave traders, that never come, and the move just comes. And then they wait for another 618.50 that never comes. And by the end of it, the alt season's over and you got nothing out of it, right? So you have to adjust this. You learn these things as you've been in the market the longer you've been, and you go analyze previous alt seasons and you realize how shy of retracements we get. Also, a lot of times we did get a standard correction for here for a wave 2, but a lot of times you'll end up getting running flats too, where you don't make a newer low. So you need to adjust your strategies during alt season. They don't always follow guidelines. So off that wave 2, we're looking for a 5-wave move to the upside. Have this as wave 1, WXY wave 2. This was a flat X zigzag complex combination. We then look for our wave 3, which I believe has topped. It came all the way to the 2.618 extension of this first 1 and 2 in green, and looking for a 4 and a 5 to complete a 1 and 2 of a lesser degree over here. So that would be 1 and 2 within this larger third wave. So a lot of potential here on FLR as long as it follows our path. Now there is an alt count where I can count this as a top. I would just change this to a running flat and get an ugly fifth wave. But ideally we get a fourth wave here in green and a fifth to complete our wave one. This can go actually. Yeah. So looking for either a triangle, a flat, or just go straight for our fifth wave here. And looking for a pullback. One thing to note, if we stretch out here for quite a bit of time, this is where our alt wave 1 and 2 can come into play, and we might just take off. If you remember over here, we had a very shy retracement. We can get the same thing over on this end. So be a little bit fluid in whether this is a fifth wave to the upside in green or a start of a third wave in blue. Either way can be counted. This is just following guidelines the best. So until it fails and continues to break out, I'm expecting one more wave to the upside, then a larger correction to correct this entire 5-wave move before we move to the upside into price discovery. Now, ideally, this wave 1 of lesser degree in blue finishes before 4.33 cents. Because of what tends to happen, then we have a 535 that comes to a 1-to-1 extension, which is more likely an ABC than a 1-2-1-2. Right? It's more likely corrective than impulsive. Now, in alt season, these things can get a little skewed. You're going to hear me say that a lot, so you have to be prepared for both. So what's good about this, once we finally break to the upside, our targets are very high, depending how these will get adjusted based on this wave 1 and 2. When the wave actually ends, we can get proper extensions. But as of right now, for guidelines, just taking this 1 and 2 from here, our third wave target is 7.12 cents. That's this third wave in white, 5 waves in blue. We look for a fourth wave. General guidelines would be around 4.33 cents. And then eventually we take off to between 9.6 and 11.7. That would complete a 5-wave move, in which case would be a larger wave 1, and we would repeat this cycle. So that's what we're looking for. It could get moving pretty quick. This is just December you see here. And if this gets extended, which is also possible, our third wave extended target for this wave 3 in white is 15.9 cents. We won't know till these waves create their price action. Do we get 2 nested 1-2s, or do we get an extra 1-2 in there and then we become more nested? This is stuff that needs to be done in real time. That's why when people ask me for my far out targets, it frustrates me a little bit because things can change literally in a day, right? I get told, oh, you're wrong, but my count has already been adjusted, in real time. So invalidation of these counts is the second 1-2 is at 1.937 cents. Invalidation of this as a fourth wave in green is at 2.429 cents. That's where wave 4 in green would overlap with wave 1. So we can come as far as that before getting this fifth wave. But if that happened, I would end up relabeling this and consider this our top, relabel this to the ugly wave count that completes there, and consider this a wave 2. And all my setups at that point, all my stops would be at 1.937, expecting that third of the third, right? But yeah, everything looks good on FLR, expecting just some chop here for the next couple days. Or if this is the top, we get moving to the upside. All right, guys, so I update this multiple times a week. If you want to join the private Discord, link is in the description. I do 4 to 5 member videos going over multiple assets a week. I give my trade ideas, any suggestions I can about trading, as well as you'll see that Blofin exclusive on the top left within the Discord. In there, you get a 20% rebate for life on your trading fees if you sign up through the Discord link, directly deposited into your account after you close your trade within 3 hours, plus a bonus. I believe this bonus is still active. I just need to change the date on there. And if you're not interested in the Discord, you get 5% rebate for life on the YouTube link plus the bonus. If you're new to my YouTube channel, I cover these 7 assets once or twice a week if I have time. If you want quicker updates, come into the Discord. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Hope to see you in the Discord.